Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, man. You already know what time it is. Roddy Ride, what's going on? What's up, Miss Paradise? What's going on, Miss Paradise? I don't hardly do no lives no more. So, yeah. Yeah, y'all caught me on I guess, a good day because I was supposed to go somewhere, but I said, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to end up watching the game in a little bit, too. But yeah, man, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Ain't that right? The damn liberals and anybody in liberal media or any type of show that's more left leaning, they having a fit because they either getting canceled or if they say something, then the network and people are calling for their heads, which I don't really see a problem with because we can remember a time when other folks was getting canceled left and right for things that they were saying. Even these conspiracy theorists, these people who actually were proven to be right a lot of times about things like the election, vaccines. Remember, they was banning people about vaccine deniers and saying these diseases wasn't real and they shouldn't be giving us all of these people. They got kicked off the internet. People was getting them fired. They was losing their jobs. All of this stuff. Now the same thing is happening to the other side and they saying this is a dictatorship. Um, this is a fascist government. We have a Nazi leader. Like, they going right back to their same old tricks. But it's like now that the shoe is on the other foot, it's an issue. And I'm trying to see how is it an issue when you counsel people so because of the things that they were saying and whatnot online, and the same thing is happening now. I think a lot of this really started changing once Elon bought Twitter because so many people, whether you like what's said on Twitter or not, so many people are actually able to go on Twitter and speak their minds. You know what I'm saying? It's so many people who you've never heard of, you've never heard their thoughts, you never heard them speak, and you actually go on Twitter and you hear them speak, you hear their thoughts, you hear what they think about certain situations that pertaining to politics, pertaining to life, pertaining to anything that's going on in the world right now. And the reason why you're seeing a lot of these people more and more on Twitter is because they were canceled on other platforms. Sometimes immediately, once they became vaccine deniers, once they became conspiracy theorists, once they became more right leaning and more conservative style talking points, they got canceled immediately. But now people on the left are getting canceled for things that they're saying, not just because they're on the left like they was doing against people who was on the right or people who were more conservative. They were just getting canceled just off of basic thoughts about what they had about their parties or what they thought about life. Now these people are actually getting canceled because they saying incendiary things online. They speaking ill of the dead, all of these different things, and they don't like it one bit. But like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if this can happen to somebody else, don't think that it can't happen to you. Because in my mind, you thinking that it can't happen to you actually proves that this may be a fascist state, but you may be the fascist, right? Because how can you want something for somebody else and the rules to apply to them, but you don't want the rules to apply to you? It sounds like what you're doing is projecting. You putting your thoughts and your fears on other people, but you're actually the person. Like I heard somebody speaking about this earlier. What has actually happened is the left has taken the stance to feel like they have the more high ground. They're the nicer people. They're the ones that's saying the right things. At the same time, holding off the right by saying, "Oh, we the nice people. We just want y'all to stop," and getting them to chill out. And then the left turns around and they're the ones who are killing people, committing crimes. These what is these shootings? These have been left leaning people who have been doing this. These aren't right leaning people. These are left leaning people that are out here committing these crimes. Like I had seen a video. It was really on that Piers Morgan show. It was this dude named Destiny on there, man. He was going ape shit, right? Because he would not denounce the fact about the Charlie Kirk murder and all of this different stuff. And he just seemed crazy. You know what I'm saying? He seemed like he was so infuriated and he was so caught up in his Trump derangement syndrome, if y'all seen it, that he kept going back to that point where they won't denounce Donald Trump. They won't denounce Donald Trump. And it's like they wasn't even talking about Donald Trump, but he kept going to the fact about how Donald Trump wasn't being spoken about. He wasn't, nobody was going against him or anything like that. But what do y'all think about that? I mean, like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. What can happen to them can happen to you. Don't think that it can't happen either way. This thing goes both ways. This is America. We have laws. We have, you know, everything that applies to one applies to all. There's nothing. Well, there are some things, as in all societies, you have the levels. You have people who are poor, you have people who are rich, you have people who are in between. And different rules do sometimes apply depending on where you stand at the moment. So if you have a lot of money in this country, typically you kind of get away with a lot of things. And that's just the truth. And if you are on the bottom, then there are very little things that you get away with. Actually, you get punished even more severe because you're on the bottom. But at the same time, I think a lot of times we don't. I'm more of a self accountability type person. I don't want to use those things as an excuse because, like I've talked about on here before, I've been the person who's been in the streets, who've done different things, and that shit was stupid. And now I know better, and I would never push that or say, people who are committing crimes or selling drugs, they only doing it because of their circumstance. They're only doing it because of their environment. Well, to be honest with you, we all had a choice. I had a choice. You know, I grew up a certain way. I wasn't, poor, but at the same time, that was never something that I had to go out and do. I just wanted to do those things. I wasn't pushed to do those things. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what me personally, I like to take the more self accountability, right? I hate always blaming other people for my problems, always putting everything that's bad that's happened to me on somebody else when I can actually just take accountability and own up to some things. And I have no issue doing that. But this is the clip. Let me show y'all that got Jimmy Kimmel can on his show. I'm sure some of y'all have seen it. I'm sure you have.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
And that was one of the things that really got him canned because the left kept pushing, and that's what Destiny kept doing on Piers Morgan. They kept pushing that point that this was a right leaning individual. He grew up that way, but they said once he went to college, he became more left leaning. You see, he had a transgender partner who was actually his roommate. So we know his mindset was not the same way that his parents raised him. But they were so caught up on the way that he was raised and his parents were conservative and they lived in Utah that he was MAGA. He was not MAGA. Even that picture that they showed of him with the costume on, the costume was actually Donald Trump actually holding him up on his shoulders, which would be a joke, against MAGA. You know what I'm saying? So when they tried to push that and make it seem like, oh, he's with MAGA. No, if he was with MAGA, he wouldn't wear no costume like that. He would actually wear something else. He would probably just walk around with a "Make America Great Again" hat on for Halloween and maybe a suit. But that's it. But besides that, look, it was a lie.
In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
But you know, as always, they take anything that Trump says and they just spin it. It doesn't matter what, you know. We know anytime you talk to Trump, he's always talking about a multitude of things. Let's be honest. It could be wars going on. He's going to say something about the war, but then he's going to pivot and start talking about something else. That's just how he is. He's kind of all over the place sometimes. He had already spoken about Charlie Kirk prior to that. So it's like, let's just move on. Tim says, what's the current topic? Well, the current topic is in the title. It says, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And when I was up here speaking on the left and how they like cancel culture until cancel culture catches up to them. Once cancel culture catches up to the left, it's a bad thing all of a sudden. But you know, like I said, for many years prior to that, it was so many people that got canceled. So many people that got canceled. Like I said, it was the conspiracy people who were actually proven to be right, especially about the election stuff. You had the right wing people who were getting canceled. Um, con- very, very hard right conservative people were getting canceled. Um, Christian people were getting canceled when they was actually speaking about things that the Bible preaches and how we should live our lives. They were getting canceled. But even then, it's people on the left that call themselves Christians, but the things that they represent and the things that they stand for are something totally different. And um, I forgot my last point. But anyway, you got something on the topic, Tim? What you think? You think what's good for the goose is good for the gander? Because I definitely feel that way. Who has been counseled? Who has been counseled when it comes to more conservative leaning people and things that they've said in recent times? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can pull up some here. X who's Tim says his show was canceled because of low ratings and ABC used the outrage. Yeah, I think so too. He did. No, what do anybody even watch Jimmy Kimmel or any of those shows? Because I don't. I don't. I think the last time I ever watched like the late night show was probably in high school. Jay Leno, you know, when you just laying in the bed. I was in high school and it just happened to come on. I was watching something on ABC or whatever, and it just came on, and I just kind of watched it and went to sleep. I don't even remember watching the whole show. It would just be something that's on TV. I don't. Who watches TV anyway? How many people do you know sit up and watch TV? Only time people watch TV is like tonight, probably football, Monday night football, Sunday football, and maybe one or two shows. And then I don't even think people sit up and watch TV then. I think people have so many of these apps on their phones where they either watching like their favorite TV shows at work or on the run or like me when I'm driving. But for the most part, nobody is sitting up watching TV. TV is not that interesting to watch, to be honest with you. Most people just have one or two shows, and the rest of anything that they watch is probably on Netflix. And I'm sure the majority that a lot of people are watching are on YouTube. Like right now, they watch their favorite people because it's some people that's on YouTube that I watch on a daily, way more than any show that I watch. It's probably about 3 or 4 people that I get up and I see if they either dropped a video or they going live. Besides that, I don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else who comes down my timeline, if it's pertaining to the topic or the subject, sure, I'll catch that. I'll see what's going on there. But for the most part, everything I'm watching is usually online or through some app. Tim says ABC held on to Jimmy Kimmel because his child has had serious health issues and they were empathetic and kept him in spite of low ratings. Oh, I didn't know he had a child with serious health issues. Yeah, they probably had some sympathy for him. Yeah, these are the people who have been counseled. You had university professors, administrators, anti-Trump Republicans. They've been counseled. So that it is what it is. I'm reading something here. Look, Joy Reid. These are people on the left. Joy Reid, Don Lemon, Stephen Colbert, Howard Stern. Howard Stern is really one of the worst, to be honest with you, because he used to be. I don't know if he was right, but he was like, if y'all know and y'all remember, he used to be vulgar, and he used to be. It seemed like he was more right leaning, and then all of a sudden, I don't know where the turn was. I started seeing him backing Democrats and just saying certain things. And I'm like, what? Even Jimmy Kimmel, he used to be on this show, like this manly show. And now he's like this little wimpy guy, like this little bitch made dude. What's up, Dark Kent? So it's been a lot of people that have been counseled. And like I say, it is what it is. I'm seeing politicians who have been counseled. Well, counsel like, in the media and things like that. So a biracial school teacher got fired for posting comments against Charlie Kirk. Man, I've seen a bunch of people that's been losing it behind that. It was a black kid. Let me see. He was expelled. It was a black girl. She got expelled too. Yeah, this kid right here. Here go the video. Damn. I didn't watch the whole video. Bro. Hey, see? That's the crazy part. That's crazy. It's like I said, you didn't have to agree with him. You didn't have to agree with him. But I think shit like that is way out of bounds, bro. That shit like that is way out of bounds. Just like I said, the people who was making the memes about George Floyd and all these other people, they was dead ass wrong. Dead ass wrong. And I didn't like that shit either. That shit is also not acceptable. So if you can say the same thing for one party, you can say the same thing for another party. It ain't nothing wrong with that. But I think so many people have gotten caught up in trying to be so one-sided or trying to be on this never-ending thing, like I say, of this get back culture. Like we constantly sitting up here waiting for a moment to happen so that we can get back at the other side. That shit ain't gonna do nothing, bro. That shit ain't gonna do nothing. What that's gonna do is just inflame more people to go out and do more shit like that happened to Charlie Kirk. Like I say, if you didn't like Charlie Kirk, just don't listen to him. We have free speech in this country. People can say what they want to say. And if you had an issue with what he was saying, then you should have got up there and debated with him. Or you should have went to college campuses and debated conservatives. you can't you can't just off people just because you don't like what they say. I just, me personally, I can't stand for no shit like that. Now, if they saying something that's so negative, so vile, I think they shouldn't have a platform to even speak. But if they're just stating their opinions or giving facts about different groups, it is what it is. And let's be honest, some of the things that Charlie Kirk was saying, it was black people saying the same thing. That's what was killing me, especially the stuff about black fathers not being in the home and how the family was broken up. Black people were saying the same thing. Black people were saying the same thing. But as always, like I've said before, if I or other people that look like me say this, we are being coons. And we don't like black people. And we're against them. Dark Kent says, what did he do? Couldn't quite see it. Oh, he was like, oh, hold on, I'll show it to you again. I didn't blow it up. My bad. I'm gonna show you. Did you see it? I'm gonna start it all the way over. Did you see it? This is the statement. Oh, I'm gonna read that. Somebody made a comment here. Barry T says Kimmel had better ratings than Donald Thump ever did. Really? You think Jimmy Kimmel had better ratings than Donald Trump? He said Donald Thump. I don't know what you're trying to say right there. That don't even Donald Thump. That's a good one. I don't know what he's trying to reference. But I don't get it, Barry. You see it? Okay. The statement right here from the president of the university, Dr. Kelly Damphus. Is it Damphus or Damphouse? Damphus? This is a follow up to the message I sent earlier today. The university has identified the student in the disturbing video from Monday's event. I will not tolerate behavior that mocks, trivializes, or promotes violence on our campuses. It is antithetical to our Texas state values. The individual is no longer a student at Texas State. Federal law prevents the university from commenting further on individual student conduct matters. Unfortunately, some people are suggesting that the individual's actions represent the beliefs of Texas State students in general or those of specific student organizations. These kinds of insinuations are unfair to our student body and they cause some of our students to feel unsafe. Just as the behavior in the video was reprehensible, attempts to spread the blame onto innocent students are also unacceptable. The actions of one person do not reflect our entire community or the individuals in it. The funny thing, well, not the funny thing, but the sad part about it is he got expelled, and now his parents just wasted a bunch of money sending him to school. They just wasted a bunch of money. Also, when people go to school, they should actually try to learn instead of being indoctrinated into things. Even like those sororities and stuff. You see, they've been accidentally killing people, and I think a lot of people get too caught up in that, which is understandable because people are trying to branch out, be around different people, learn new things, experience new things. But when you go to school, you really go to school to learn. And a lot of these professors now are pushing their thoughts and their ideas on these students, and they shouldn't do that. They should either just give them the facts, give them the work, and let them decide for themselves. But they actually want students to think how they want them to think. Like recently, I think it was a young lady who was, I think it was another college down here in Texas, may have been Texas A&M or something like that, and I want to say the professor was a transgender, and she was trying to teach them something, but the student was like, I need to go to my professor and ask them, is this right? You shouldn't be doing this. And the student was actually right. The teacher got fired. And so, look, it's just certain things that they shouldn't do now that they do, which is I don't understand it. Yeah, he got expelled, Dark Kent. Yeah, Tim says Alex Jones has been comparing Charlie Kirk to Malcolm X because Malcolm X kids and wife was there when he was assassinated. I know they've been comparing him to Martin Luther King, and I didn't know they've been doing it about Malcolm X, but I don't see the similar. Only he got assassinated, but I don't see how he's like those guys were civil rights leaders, just like. Well, look, matter of fact, I'm about to play out something. It's a guy who was on my show. He was on my show, and I see him in spaces still. And he had a back and forth, which y'all know, Charleston White. They were in spaces. They had a Charleston White. Shout out to Miss Paradise because she sent me this clip. So he had a back and forth with Charleston White, and I want y'all to hear what Charleston White. Y'all know how Charleston White gets. So when you see it, or when you listen to it, just he gonna be screaming and whatnot. But hang on, let me pull it up. Let me get it for you guys. Let me pull it up.
By your story and your
Let me start it over. This was the title of his space. It says, F. Charlie Kirk, the world is better without him. That's Charleston White now. Check it out.
Hey, Mr. White, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Love your story. Very inspired by your story and your candor. When you look at Dr. King's life and you look at Charlie Kirk's life, there are some similarities. One, in the ways in which they were killed. Two, they both were very outspoken with their political views. They reached masses and masses of people.
Well, Dr. King
He kind of cut out.
equal protection, so he and Charlie didn't have nothing in common. Dr. King didn't talk statistics and stats, so they didn't have nothing in common. Dr. King wasn't killed by a black man; he was killed by a white man that hated. So nothing in common.
But they both were assassinated. Would you agree?
No. Charlie was a normal, regular person just talking on the college campus. He wasn't assassinated. He wasn't a civil rights leader. He bullied children. He bullied children. When you never saw Charlie speak to a grown man, he spoke to kids, bullying them.
Wait, you said Charlie was a regular person?
Yeah, he was a regular person.
So was Dr. King?
Not at the time he wasn't. He was a civil rights leader who led the civil rights movement.
Charlie Kirk is one of the biggest political figures in the country.
No. Charlie was not a political figure. I never heard of Charlie till he died.
But that's your problem.
That's not my problem. How's that my problem? Because he was a regular person. He was a content creator. He was a fucking content creator. He was a fucking nobody. 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 He was a fucking nobody.
I disagree.
A fucking nobody.
I disagree.
I don't give a fuck what you agree with. You're nobody. You're nobody. I'm somebody. I'm somebody. I'm somebody. I'm somebody who everybody knows. Nobody fucking knew Charlie. Nobody fucking knew Charlie.
Charlie Kirk reached 150 million people.
Nobody fucking knew Charlie. Nobody was a fucking nobody. He was a fucking nobody. He was a fucking nobody, guys. Charlie was a fucking nobody. He has no similarity to fucking Dr. King. You're full of shit, guy.
Okay, okay, all right.
I think he's more like Malcolm X. He was more like Malcolm X.
Oh, I know you don't want to hear your rhetoric. Fuck Charlie Kirk's mother and his two fucking children. You don't get to say Charlie was equal to Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a fucking piece of shit. No, he wasn't. He was killed by a white man. He was killed by a white man. He was killed by a white man. No. Oh, no.
All right, that's enough of that. But look, bro, I gotta tell you, you said I agree with Charleston. Dude wasn't assassinated. You say he wasn't assassinated? What do you say? He was just murdered? That's not the same thing? Yeah, that's the same. That's the same pastor. That's Reverend Damien. He was on my show. That's the same dude. That's him. That's him. That's Reverend Damien. That's Reverend Damien. But uh, go ahead. But go ahead, Dark King, give me your answer. But y'all know Charleston be trolling, right? A lot of these things that he be saying, he said to be inflammatory to get y'all's attention. Just like what he said before is that he used to speak a certain way to the black community. And I've seen the videos. I've seen him before this, really. I didn't know who he was then. But he started to say he was acting like a nigger so people would pay attention to him. That's the only reason why he was doing this. And I'm going to show you why. Well, I'm not going to show you why, but I'm going to show you how he is just trolling. Because you remember previously, he was on Aiden Ross, and this is what he said. Listen.
People feeling with his opinions and ideologies, but he's never tried to hurt anybody.
Yeah. It was a tough day, and there's a Colorado school shooting. There's a lot of bullshit happening in the world.
Yeah. But one thing about it, man, never throughout history have evil ever won. Never. Never throughout human existence have evil ever won.
But, Unc, why is there a bunch of fucked up shit happening in the world right now?
Good things happen to bad people just like bad things happen to good people. That's the yin and the yang of the world.
Yeah.
So the sun can't shine every day. So we have to have rain. We have to have trials. We have to have tribulation. The way someone dies can be horrific at times. But the overall concept of dying and having to die is not every organism, every flower,
You see? Then when he gets on his own streams, he starts to do this whole spiel about fuck that nigga. That nigga can die. He go into that whole stick. That's what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, shout out to Miss Paradise. She sent me that other clip, man. She sent me that other clip. What does that mean? Oh, okay. I understand now. I'm slow when it come to these emojis. My daughter man, they got some new emojis now. They don't even look like emojis, man. I don't even know what that is, and she be putting them in the messages. But yeah, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We can all be canceled. We shouldn't be just canceled, really, to be honest with you, for some of the things that we say all the time. It turns out that a lot of this stuff is just people who just don't like what you have to say, so they try to get you canceled. It's not that you either inflammatory or you're wrong. It's just that they just don't like you, you know. And I hate that because I think at some point we're gonna start to teeter too far to one side. Well, we are gonna start to get it to the point where people are losing more than their jobs and their livelihoods behind the things that they say. I think it could get worse than that. Because like I say, this is a free country. We should all be able to say what we want to say, you know, and do as we please. I love being an American. Some people say they do, but they don't act like it. Some people act as if they lose, as far as like politically, then they think that the world is over, like the left is doing now. They think that just because they lost an election, that the world is coming to an end, and they are welcoming everything that's going on. They love all this chaos because it looks bad for one side, which ain't true because it actually looks bad for them. The shooter was more left leaning. But to explain this stuff to them and tell them that, it falls on deaf ears. And they hate it. They wanted it to so bad to be a right wing bandit, but it wasn't. It just wasn't. Now, I seen some text messages. I did want to Cause I heard about some text messages that I never even read, and I kind of wanted to just read them for the first time. What he was saying with his roommate. Cause everybody was saying that it was fake. Have y'all seen it? A lot of people were saying that it was fake, and I don't know, but I'm about to read it. The Saint Marquette Burton YouTube channel just got demonetized because of his anti Charlie Kirk live streams. Really? I don't even know who that is. Saint Marquette Burton. Let me see who that is. Is that a black guy? Because it kind of sounds like it. Saint Marquette. Does he goes by the Saint? Does he go by the Saint? He got 230,000 subscribers. Hmm. Let me read these messages with y'all real quick because I've never read them. I just want to see what happened. Robinson, that's the shooter. He says, I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. The roommate says, you weren't the one who did it, right? Okay. Then Robinson says, I am. I'm sorry. The roommate says, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, the shooter, says, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude. They interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out. But there is one vehicle lingering. The roommate says, why? The shooter says, why did I do it? The roommate says, yeah. Robinson says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. The roommate says, how long have you been planning this? Robinson says, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Wow. Just that right there alone, I'm gonna be honest with you. I see what they saying. Just off of that right there. Just off of that initial reading of this first part of it, I I believe them when they say that this shit was scripted. Because he it's like he laying it all out in a text message. Why would you do that as a shooter? If you was going to commit a crime against somebody, why would you be corresponding with somebody who you know could quite possibly, if they have some type of lead, this is somebody that they could run into. If they have a lead and it traces to you and you are his roommate, they're gonna come talking to you. And they're gonna want to see your phone, and he just laid it out. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. He's sitting up here laying out his whole plan. Oh, I would have went and got my rifle. I planned on getting away with it. Oh yeah, he should have been taken out. Like all of this stuff is just put in these messages. I see exactly why they saying it's scripted. Some of the Let me read some of these comments. Erica says, I love how he included all the details of the crime in a text message. Why wouldn't he just call them to disclose? Exactly. If he gonna talk like this, he could have just turned himself in and gave him the whole spiel. Somebody said reads like AI, long monologues, short generic replies. Who the F text like this? Was it authenticated by police or anybody who knows where they came from? Just happened to be a trans person. The odds of that being factual is low. That's probably not the whole conversation. They probably omitted a lot of the chatter in between the main messages. Hmm. Let me go back to reading this. It says the roommate asked him, "How long have you been planning this?" "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson, the shooter, says, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle." Come on. Yeah, this is scripted, bro. I mean, he's detailing things like that. Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Come on, man. Come on. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Yeah, this is fake. Fake as hell. Remember how I was engraving the bullets? Man, are you serious? Is this real? Stop. Dark Ken says, "I'm not buying this story of the alleged shooter. I honestly believe he's a fall guy." Tim says, Candace Owens saying conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk passing blame in the small hats. She's going to mess around and get banned. Yeah, she's going to mess around and get banned. But she probably is on to something. Because check this out. You see the way she was talking on one of them shows? She was like, "I got messages," and look, she do go kind of far out there sometimes, but it's been times where she goes far out there and she's actually right. And she's proven right about some of these things. So, like, once again, whether you like somebody or not doesn't always make them wrong in what they saying. Okay. He says, "Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving the bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox, knew I might have a stroke. All right, I'm gonna have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope." Robinson, delete this exchange. This is fake, bro. Everybody knows whether you delete a message in your phone or not, they can still pull that shit up. I hope y'all know that. Whether you delete messages in your phone or not, they can still pull it up. It's actually files in your phone that they can recover and still pull up what was said. Deleting does nothing. Once it's said, it's said. Robinson says, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering." Robinson, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love." Roommate, "I'm much more worried about you." Robinson, "Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make," and it goes on. Yeah, the script is in. The fix is in, people. That does make me think about some things now, because I'm sitting here like, that text message thread seems so fake to me. I guess I could say, was he the shooter? Was he a patsy? Is this really a conspiracy, like some people are saying? Because it could be. It could very well be. It. You know, these things go so deep where it's like we won't really know for years. Other details will come out. Somebody will make some type of confession on their deathbed. Uh, somebody will leak some information. Things like that always happen. I'm gonna say maybe like 15 years from now, somebody could drop some information and it could be a government hit. Or the weird thing about some of this stuff is it actually be hits from their own side. You know what I mean? Like trying to incite violence. Like getting a hit on somebody from your own side. Or the opposite side, putting a hit on somebody from the other side to stir up some as well. Like it's all kind of factors into this. That's a fake text thread. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And just after reading it, I'm truly believing that this shit was made up. Not the murder. I'm not saying Charlie somewhere hiding. None of that shit. But just that thread makes me think that a lot of other things, including the shooter, including maybe his parents or his, I'm thinking all of this is somehow faked or made up, or he was a patsy, or didn't. What was that stuff where they said they were putting drugs in people? What is that? What is that conspiracy? Y'all know what it is. Where people wouldn't know that they would be committing hits and working for the government. What was that shit called? They called it Agent something. Remember they were testing the drugs on people? What was that shit called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I've heard people say it all the time. The video of dude jumping off the roof after the shooting looks suspect. Give it 5 years or so. This will be a movie coming to it. You know they're gonna make it into a movie. You know they're gonna make it into a movie. And you're right. Let me look at this. What? Why is this some funny? Whoever this is says, who cares if the Kirk shooter jumped off the roof holding a gun or not? The entire footage is fake. Guy on the sidewalk next to the shooter disappears into nothing. They set up Tyler Robinson as their patsy. FBI fabricated too much fake evidence. Let's see what's going on here. He says the shooter disappears into nothing. Guy on the sidewalk. Oh, guy on the sidewalk next to the shooter disappears into nothing. Let's see. Eh, it could be, but how, I don't know. That shit. I don't just. What if it was a walkway and he went up the other way? You know what I'm saying? What if he busted a right and was walking up some type of walkway? He didn't have to necessarily be walking that one direction. He could have took a right and went up some other. Man, look, they love. See, that's the thing you have to be careful about these conspiracies, man. You have to kind of look at things for yourself. You can't just go off what people say. The thing about this though, with the shooter, is how high was that building? And like he didn't break his leg, he didn't roll an ankle. That's what I always was like, what? Like, so you just jump off of a building like that and you don't get hurt. Oh, okay. Okay. Now they got some extra shadows of the fence post, enclosed paved square. Okay. Bro, they been done broke this shit down. They are crazy on here, man. It makes sense though. Where did he go? He got me. He got me. Where did he go? He got me. He got me. Because that is an enclosed area. I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to that. That was pretty good. He got me on that one. He got me on that one. But I keep seeing people coming in here, man. Let me get back to the topic at hand, which was Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel and his cancellation. Let's look at this. Well, hold on before I get to that. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to see. I saw this on somebody else's show earlier. It's the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, and he's talking about the situation with Jimmy Kimmel. Let's listen to what he said about it.
No, look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians, whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't. And Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have. And you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource. And it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. And again, over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back on national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history. And that's one of the things we want at the FCC. We want to empower local broadcasters that have the public interest obligation to push back on national programmers so that people have more choice.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I think what he was talking about is these local stations. They're saying, look, well, we're not going to be showing this show unless y'all do something about it. So y'all can go ahead and show it, but it won't be on the local ABC slots. It won't be with us. Y'all are gonna have to do something different. And like Jason was saying earlier on his show, it was a point in time where people just reported on the news. It was a point in time where they just gave you the facts. It was a point in time where you had the left-leaning shows, you had the right-leaning shows. You had the left-leaning newspapers, you had the right-leaning newspapers. So, you got both sides if you took the time to listen to both sides or read both sides, whatever they printed out, you had that option to do that. Now, everything on TV is one-sided. Even on the right, it's just one-sided. Sometimes you have these shows in between where there are a liberal commentator and a Republican commentator, conservative commentator, or vice versa. But for the most part, you still have these pockets like MSNBC, which is so, well, it's MS now. It was so hard line left. And they would put like one right person on their show. I mean, and the person really wasn't even right leaning. And they would just run them over. They couldn't get a word in edgewise. They couldn't say anything. They couldn't do anything but sit there and take it. But hey, man, if y'all on here watching the channel right now, make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Make sure y'all hit them thumbs up for me, man. I really would appreciate that. Everybody who coming through and checking out the channel real quick for me. But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel got the can. The FCC chair is really in agreement with what's going on. He likes it. I'm liking it as well. I don't have an issue with it. Don't have an issue with it at all.
Death. Charlie keeps winning debates. You know, the media, this is what's disgusting. Just look at the reaction. The media is trying to make Jimmy Kimmel into their Charlie Kirk. But as if like getting fired is the same as getting fired upon. That's what disgusts me, is how they're trying, they're in a, this is a blatant effort to get the stink off them. The decades of brainwash that created justification for violence and for murder. Sorry, guys, he's not a victim. The victim is Charlie Kirk. The victims are his family. I don't shed any tears for a lefty millionaire who can still go home and see his kids. So this, look at this through that prism. Jason Bateman predicts a reckoning over Kimmel's suspension. Sorry, dude, the reckoning began without you. Your side got thousands of conservatives thrown off social media. CNN tried to get Fox off the air. Do you remember that? Stelter, that don't say that. Stelter tried to get us off the air, and we're on a private airway. We're not in a public thing like ABC is. While they were doing this, they were promoting rhetoric that demonized people with different viewpoints. So there isn't a both sides here. You can't turn Kimmel into Kirk. That is disgusting, and I'm going to control myself. Let's look at the obvious here. You have to look at this like mutually assured destruction. Facebook was pressured by the president or the White House to throw people out. Trump was thrown off Twitter. You had Roseanne, Gina Carino, Dave Chappelle, Shane Gillis, J.K. Rowling. The list is endless. We could take a whole hour to do it. How do you stop that? Mutually assured destruction, like what Trump is doing with lawfare. You hunted us. You hunted Republicans. You hunted conservatives. Well, maybe you won't hunt us anymore if we hunt you.
See that point? That's what I'm saying. And that's how I be feeling about some of the things that we do as black people. It's like, it's this back and forth. I get a little power, I'm going to come after you. You get a little power, you're going to come after me. It's never going to stop. This shit is never going to stop. And you see how he phrased that? It's never going to stop. Because we got to get our get back. We can never come to some type of conclusion. We can never come to some type of middle ground. We can't do it. And I think that's going to be the downfall of us. Not just black people, but when I say us, I mean this country. I say all this race war crap. I don't even think that's gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. The war is gonna end up being the right versus the left. That's what it's gonna be. It ain't gonna be no race war. It's gonna be a political war. I see that way before I see anything about race. People have been going back and forth about race for so long now. It's gonna be political. Tim says, warning to black content creators: if you live stream Charlie Kirk Memorial Sunday and act like Charleston White, they going to ban you. I'm sure they're gonna ban you. I know they're gonna ban you. They're gonna take everything you got down. They're gonna take your page away from you. But you're gonna have people doing it anyway. It's gonna be memes. It's gonna be shorts of people like looking at their TV and laughing or popping bottles. Watch. It's gonna be some type of fuckery. I can almost promise you that. It's gonna be some type of fuckery.
I am so tired of these self-centered fools on CNN and MSNBC with their performative outrage because they will never, ever stand outside before thousands of people and debate people who don't like them. They are, like me, indoor cats. They used, was it S.E. Cupp used the phrase, systematically killing free speech? A young man was systematically killed over free speech last week. Kimmel has every right and every opportunity to do a live free show outdoors. And so could all those people on CNN, but they don't. If they did, they probably wouldn't get shot because no one is demonizing them. No one is calling them Hitler. That was your gig.
All right, now let's listen to this. I don't know who she is. She got something to say about this whole Jimmy Kimmel stuff.
I am a big fan of free speech. Whether I agree or disagree with you, everyone has a right to speak their mind. However, freedom of speech does not equal freedom from consequences. And when you go on national television spewing misinformation and contributing to the rhetoric that got Charlie...
That's a fact. That I do agree with. You're not free of consequences. And you're not free of how people are gonna react to what you said. Is it right how they react to you, like the shooter? No. But what you say and how people react is something that you can't control. That's a fact.
Killed, you don't get a free pass. Jimmy Kimmel saying the MAGA gang was trying to claim the shooter was anything more than one of us. Well, he wasn't one of us, he was one of you. When you lie like that on the public airwaves, there are going to be consequences. No, I don't feel bad for you. All this crying over fascism and authoritarianism and freedom of speech is under attack. Give me a break. Where were you when Roseanne Barr was fired? Or Gina Carano? Or when Biden worked with the DOJ and FBI to censor and ban conservatives for nothing more than our beliefs?
Yep. See, that's what I remember. Now I remember that. Because I think it was heavy on Facebook. Because a lot of people, a lot of these content creators, a lot of these people used to do stuff on Facebook. And that's where they ended up on Twitter. Because they immediately got the boot off of Facebook. And that's one reason why a lot of people don't even do content on Facebook. But recently, I think what's it, Zuckerberg changed his policy. I want to say it was when Trump got elected. He was like, I'm gonna open it up for more free speech. Well, he didn't put it like free speech, but just more openness of people's thoughts and ideas. It was something to that effect. But it's too late now. People were leaving his platform. That's why they started going to Twitter.
Where were you when Twitter banned the sitting president of the United States? Oh, you were either celebrating or silent. If Jimmy was arrested and prosecuted for what he said on the show, that would be a free speech violation. His employer pulling him off the air, that is not. What was the line that you guys threw in our faces? Oh, private companies can do whatever they want. Funny how the tune changes when the medicine you've been forcing down our throats finally starts to come back and bite you. You were not suspended for your comedy, though you probably should be, because you're not very funny. You were suspended for lying and basically causing division in a time where people are being gunned down for their beliefs. This is what accountability looks like. It's finally time you start to understand what it feels like.
She ain't lying. You got to see what it feels like. Like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is SAG after. I think that's that union that like all these actors and I guess hosts and people like them, they all in this union. But they say SAG after condemns the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Our society depends on freedom of expression, suppression of free speech, and retaliation for speaking out on significant issues of public concern run counter to the fundamental rights we all rely on. It's just bullshit because when it happens to them, now they want to speak out. But when it's other people, it's like, yeah, they should be taken off the air. They can't be saying that. I don't like what they said. Democracy thrives when diverse points of views are expressed. The decision to suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedom. SAG-AFTRA stands with all media artists and defends their right to express their diverse points of view and everyone's right to hear them. Well, it goes both ways. Boy, it's so much stuff when you be looking this shit up. Like, man, it's a clip that somebody just found. It says conservatives have resurfaced this clip of Brian Stelter. Y'all remember him from reliable sources on CNN. Say he's justifying censorship of conservatives after he melted down over Jimmy Kimmel being suspended. Let's look at this crap.
And the polluters are trying to deflect blame. Dishonest cries of censorship are filling Fox's airwaves with charges that these guys right here are being suppressed. The word censorship's been invoked almost 400 times on Fox this month alone, and more than 300 times on Newsmax. You know, post-insurrection, a book publisher decided that it does not want to be in business with Senator Josh Hawley. So he's been on a national TV tour claiming he's muzzled. And Tucker Carlson is telling viewers that this network, CNN, is trying to force Fox News off the air, which is patently false. It's as predictable as the sunrise. Democrats win elections, and then Republicans say they are being silenced. But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this. A harm reduction model. Most people want clean air and blue skies and accurate news and rational views. And then in that healthy environment that looks beautiful, then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest. The vast majority of people can agree that disinformation about, let's say, the pandemic is unhealthy. It's harmful. So how can that harm be reduced? Well, big tech platforms say they are...
That people were proven right about. You remember? They crazy.
Removing lies about vaccines and stamping out Stop the Steal BS and QAnon cult content. Now, do these private companies have too much power? Sure. And many people would say yes, of course they do.
There you go.
But reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. And algorithmic reach is part of the problem. Now, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg seems to agree. Here's the headline from Politico. He's pledging to depoliticize Facebook. Zuckerberg says one of the top pieces of feedback that we're hearing from our community is that people don't want politics and fighting to take over their experience on our services. Well, he's several years too late, but that is a real issue. And he wants to now try to clean up Facebook. But this is bigger than Facebook. This harm happens all over the place. In the words of a recently fired Fox News editor, news consumers are both overfed and malnourished.
He reversed that. Mark Zuckerberg reversed that. Now, how would I search that? Because I know he did. I might have to just go to AI and see. See here, it popped up just like I said. There you go. I know I'm not tripping. It's right here.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, But there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots.
You see that? This was on January the 7th. Well, hold on. The post was from January the 7th. I don't know when the video, but it was after the election. I know that.
And focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platform.
Basically saying, conservatives, you are welcome to come back on the platform. But it was too late. He saw what Elon did. Elon brought everybody over.
Platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
And it really wasn't even fact checking. You remember? It was just fact checking people who they disagree with. That's all it was. That was they would just put these little community notes on stuff that they didn't agree with, and it would just be some bullshit. Just any it was basically a deterrent for people to see the community note and be like, okay, that's bullshit. Don't even read the rest of it. Don't watch the video. Don't do nothing. Just leave it alone. He did that.
Similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the
Bingo.
US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with.
You see how he did the 180? You see it? Bro, these people, they know. He saw when he got elected, okay, people don't think a certain way anymore. We're going to have to be more welcoming to the other side now. And I got to get my money. That's what he's saying. I'm losing too much money fooling with y'all. The other side is winning now. Let me go over there.
Mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing.
Bro, he's so full of shit on this video. I remember this shit, man. Oh, he was pandering. He was pandering right there. He want everybody to come back to Facebook. Do me a favor, Zuckerberg. Get my aunties and my grandma, get them the hell off of Facebook, and maybe I'll come back. But as long as it's a bunch of damn old people and parents over there that's snooping around on our profiles, I'm never coming back over there. If you can do that for me, you got a deal. Tim says Hollywood going to come to the rescue for Jimmy Kimmel, and this country really about to be broken down party lines. Yep, we definitely gonna be broken down party lines. This is gonna get deeper and deeper. That's all it is. It's just gonna get deeper and deeper. I don't know who they gonna hire for that show. I was thinking, I heard what Jason was saying, but I was thinking, man, some of these shows may start to hire more right leaning people, which I think would be a mistake because you don't want to just go to the other side. I think you actually want to find somebody who's really down the middle, or somebody who's really just gonna call it like it is instead of being biased to one side or the other. I think if you can find that, you have a better chance of quite possibly keeping people more engaged, or have like two hosts. Have one host that not necessarily just dealing with politics, but somebody who will challenge the other host when it comes to politics, or somebody that's kind of on the opposite side of things. Yeah, they was talking about Stephen A. Smith. Man, I already don't watch it, and if they put his ass on there, I'm definitely not gonna watch it. So, F Stephen A. Smith.
Using this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where
take it out of a liberal state and put it in a conservative state.
There's less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
He's trying to get his audience back. He fucked up. Tim says Shannon Sharp would have been an option if those sexual allegations never came out. You think so? You think Shannon Sharp would have been an option to do like the Late Show? You think so? I don't know. I mean, you could be right. I don't know. He probably wouldn't have been my choice to do the Late Show. I like him on sports shows. Uh I mean, he would seem better suited to me to be on like a daytime show. Not like something around like 5 or 6 o'clock. Like right before the late show. Something like that. Maybe about 7 or 8 o'clock. Where it's like a mixture of topics. You gotta have the sports in there because he's a football player. And have some certain guests on there. I think he'll be good like that. Dark can't say they gonna bring back Conan O'Brien or David Letterman or some shit. You think so? I don't know about that. But they did bring Conan O'Brien back one time, didn't they? Is he Conan O'Brien still got a show? I think they brought him back. Let me see. I thought they brought him back. You know what? Forget. I could just go to Grok. Well, I mean, is Conan? Come on, Grok. They having to think about it. Maybe I didn't word it right. It says he's hosting an ongoing travel series. Conan O'Brien must go on Max. Oh, he is not currently hosting a traditional late night show. Oh, okay. He ended the Conan on TBS in 2021. But he did come back. Didn't he leave off of that and then they brought him back? I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong. David Letterman just dissed the president for getting Jimmy Kimmel fired. Really? What did he say? Let me see what he said. Oh, I already got it. Boy, this internet is something else, ain't it?
Tell us what you think about what happened last night to Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, this is misery. And in the world of somebody who is an authoritarian, maybe a dictatorship, sooner or
Here we
later,
go.
everyone is going to be touched. But this is me. For 30 years, I did this for a living. So I see this happen. They took care of Colbert. That was rude. That was inexcusable. The man deserves a great deal of credit. He's in the Hall of Fame 9 times. And to be manipulated like that because the Ellison family didn't want to trouble Donald Trump with this move, so they got rid of him. Not only got rid of him, got rid of the whole franchise. You're not going to have to worry about anything, Larry. It's all gone. It's fine. Good night. And then my good friend Jimmy Kimmel. I feel bad about this because we all see where this is going, correct? It's managed media, and it's no good.
It's the same bullshit. It's like, do y'all not recall where all of those shows were left leaning? Y'all was cool with that. Then they get canceled. Now y'all got a problem with it. And then he's like, you know where this is going. This is all going. It's gonna be one sided. It's been one sided. Where have you been, bro? They gotta stop acting like this. See, this is the trick. They try to act like a lot of these talk show hosts call it down the middle, and they don't. Look at the jokes that they do. The jokes and everything that they say, even the guest, is all one sided. It's always one sided. How many conservative Republicans do you see on these shows? And how many liberal Democrats do you see on these shows? Come on, man.
It's silly, it's ridiculous, and you can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office. That's
God.
just not how this works.
Where's my sound effect? I gotta give him this. They be killing me. They be killing me. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, like I said. If y'all watching this, make sure y'all hit the like button, man. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. Please, please, please do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Been 184 people have stopped through, watched the show. I've kept some of y'all around for about 5 or 6 minutes. Others have been here longer. About 5 of y'all have stuck around the whole time. Appreciate y'all. The others who stopped through. One point in time, I had about, at one point, I had about 20 people in here. Tim says the next host might diss Trump and dare ABC to fire them. That's why they got to hire someone they control. Oh, they're going to definitely have a puppet. Ain't no doubt about that. These shows are going to be in the hands of a puppet master. That's what's going to happen. Okay? We know that's going to happen. It ain't going to stop. It ain't going to stop. So, but man, I'm finna get off of here. I'm finna go get me something to eat and do something else. But you know what, man? I might end up start doing lives again more because for some reason that algorithm is favoring these lives again. It could just be my topic, but the last time I came on live like this, it was quite a few people that came over here. And then when I did the vertical one, which is the content that they was promoting, it wasn't doing anything. So I might start doing more lives again. I don't know. But yeah, man, let me get out of here. I'm gonna holler at y'all. I appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And as always, man, I'm gonna catch y'all next time. Peace.